All right, good evening. Welcome to the Town of Rutland Office of the Select Board meeting for Monday, December 16th. It is 3 p.m. We are in the Rutland Free Public Library. Hereby call this meeting to order and open it. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. As per usual, this meeting is being recorded for transmission on Rutland Public Access TV as well as on YouTube. Could I get a motion to sign Treasury Warrant 13 and payroll?
Make a motion we sign payroll and Treasury Warrant 13.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. I don't believe we have any minutes tonight, right?
Nope.
All right. We're going to jump right in. We have a poll hearing. I'm going to open that poll hearing, the first one for 6 p.m. for 19 Prospect Street. Is there anyone here to speak? Go on up. Yes, thank you.
Hi, my name is Kim Tavalai-Mola. I work at National Grid. I'm here for a poll hearing for 19 Prospect Street. We are going to install pole 7-1 across the street from pole 7 because we are having a new residential customer with an underground service at 19 Prospect Street, so they can't go under the road. We have to have a pole on their side of the street.
And is that all you have for us for this specific poll?
Yes.
All right, and we have a recommendation in front of us from Director Buckley, who is here tonight. Director Buckley, do you have anything to add besides what you gave us?
No, just to remind them that it has to be, 4 feet off the edge of the paved road so that we can have room for snow storage.
Yes, I talked with Mr. Buckley today on the telephone, and I am going to be moving the stake back 3 feet so that it's the proper distance from the road.
But that stake hasn't been moved yet. Is that fair?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak on 19 Prospect Street on the poll hearing? Okay, hereby close the hearing. Could I get a motion?
Get a motion to approve the installation of a pole on 19 Prospect Street on the condition that our DPW director have the ability to review the new placement of the pole.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. On to the next. Hereby open the 6:05 hearing, poll hearing for 175 Barry Paxton Road.
That one is going to be canceled because it's on a state road.
Thank you very much, Director Buckley. All right.
You good with that?
I'm actually going to then close this hearing. You are not returning this petition, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I just have,
Hearing is closed. You have a question. What, did you have a question about?
I can always address it after.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm moving on. Are those the only 2 poll hearings you had for the evening? It is.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, that was easy.
Thank you.
Look at that, I caught up. Now I'm early. 6:10 p.m. We have the Veteran Service Officer coming.
Yeah, she should be here. She just sent me an email saying that she was stuck at the office. I'm just seeing it now, so if she gets here, she might be a little later.
All right, great.
Pass this down the way.
So I think what we'll do then is move to Director Buckley, who's with us. If he's ready. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome.
Hi, how
Good
are
to
you?
have you here.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
It's like the old days for me.
So you
For
think
me
so?
and Wayne, right?
you have some notes there. They basically cover most of the stuff we're doing in DPW right now. Roads and water and sewer are the big ones. We've got some personnel concerns, some equipment concerns, and a couple special projects. I'm just going to breeze through some of these, and if you see any immediate questions, don't be afraid to ask, okay? We've been through a couple storms. The first one at the early December was 21 inches. It was quite an adventure for us. Went 2 days. The staff did a great job. I just want to call out how great they did.
Yeah, they did.
Some other problems we faced with the early season storms. We also had a flash melt in the middle of them, and some of the gravel roads have gotten, for lack of a better technical reference, squishy. And the second storm around, we went to try and plow some of those roads, and in some cases we made just as we were plowing mud. It was just the nature of what we've got going on. In addition to the snow and the flash melt we had, so we had 21 inches of snow or 30 inches of snow overall. Then we got an inch and a half of rain, or a good rain, and we had significant melt, and groundwater levels in town have gone up quite a bit. So we've had to send crews out early in the morning just to spot check areas where you have water bubbling out of the sides of roads to sand and stuff like that. It's also led to some flooding in like Miles Road. So it's not just the snow is my only point. Hopefully, if we can get things to dry out a little bit, the groundwater table will get back down again, we won't see as many of those challenges, and we'll only have to plow snow. We also, I think here, number 7, I talk about the trails. We seem to have an awful lot of calls about the trails. That seems to be our single biggest complaint area. The trails get plowed last. So we plow the whole town, and then we go back and plow the trails, and some of those folks are frustrated with the level of service they got. So myself and the administrator have decided to maybe talk to council and find out what our legal responsibilities really are at those locations, to make sure we at least honor what we're supposed to do. So more on that to come. More to come on that. Just think here, Miles Road flooding. I met with CMRPC to talk about complete streets and using some of that funding to possibly pay for sidewalk improvements in town. I would say it was a positive meeting because there's some other stuff that came out of it, like we may get a better scheduling position on Route 56 or Palmagussit that may get bumped up a little bit, which is good stuff. But they also cautioned me that the complete streets process has become very competitive. A lot of cities and towns have gone after that money. There's some other stuff we haven't figured in there, as well as some design costs. We have to pay for the design costs. So earlier in my notes here, I mentioned that we're doing some survey work. That's the first step in getting some of the design covered. Okay? Any questions so far? I'm sorry? Oh, no, I thought somebody had a question, that's all. I got in contact with our engineer for Route 68 at Wachusett. That's Time Bond Engineers. They haven't got me a schedule yet, but they're on board to do that work. Water and sewer. That was one of the main reasons I asked to come and speak tonight was I'd like to possibly suggest that the board schedule a meeting of water and sewer commissioners. And the main focus of that is to address some abatement requests. We've had 10 or so or 12 abatement requests after the most recent water and sewer rate increase. We do process some abatements at DPW. The most common is the swimming pool. So if you have a swimming pool and you want to use town water to fill it, you call us in advance. We read the meter. You fill the pool. We go back and read the meter again. And we abate the sewer costs because we figure it's all going to be tied up in the pool. If you had a ruptured water heater in your basement and it washed out through the garage and none of that water went down the sewer, we would try and abate the sewer charges for that. Those are some things we can abate. The 10 or 12 so that we have on file where people have sent letters in, it's stuff we can't necessarily speak to. It's, I bought a new house, I put a lawn in, and I watered all summer, and none of that water went down the sewer. Well, we're reluctant to approve those. So that's something I'd like to try and review with the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners. We have to have a process to address some of those things. And since we didn't have one currently at DPW, I was reluctant to make a decision either way. You have any questions on that?
Out of curiosity, what would that bill look like in terms of an instance where you're watering all summer? I mean, I'd imagine that's probably
It could double.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the argument is that the water doesn't go down in the sewer, so the hope is they can abate the sewer charges.
Right.
It's rare that someone will want to abate water charges per se.
No, absolutely.
What is the current timeline of these requests? They came in after they received the last
The last bill.
last month,
Yes.
and those bills are due when? Or we're
Uh,
already,
The bills are due probably anywhere from now until like within the next couple weeks. We've actually advised people to pay the bills, and then
okay.
pending the outcome of the abatement request, we could abate those funds either on future bills. I mean, we're not going to cut them a check, but we probably just abate the charges.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
Maybe later.
Okay.
Yep.
You want to get back to me with a
Yeah.
date, or?
Yeah, let's finish and then we can go back and set some dates.
We met with Weston Sampson Engineers to get started on the capital plan because we got funding approved at the special fall town meeting. Most of the focus on that has been the Inwood Road area, trying to get a chunk of that work out before the end of the fiscal, or we're hoping to get actually that piece bid by the end of January. So we can get started and provide May.
And that's the neighborhood that has had all the breaks and everything, right? For clarification, that Inwood
Yes, but
Road.
yes. It's just that to do that whole area is going to take us 3 or 4 years. We won't get it all done this first year. We're just getting started.
Right. Thank you.
We've also given the go-ahead to get some more II work done, which I think is always a benefit. Several repairs were identified in the last II analysis that the town didn't have the ability to fund, so we're doing that work first. I don't think, I think we always make out when we get rid of inflow and infiltration. Myself and the town administrator met with Mass DEP to talk about our water permit. And I would consider the meeting productive. Mike, you agree?
Yeah.
All right. And basically what it is we're working with them to get a consent order drafted so that we can increase how much water we can take from Muskapog. To do that, they want you to do some pretty basic stuff. Work on your leaks, make sure your plant's working as intended, have some basic maintenance things in place. And we've been trying, in the last month or so, trying to clean up the list of what they expect the town to complete, so that when they draft the order, anything outstanding will get into that, because it's a legal document. So because it's a consent order, it requires us to do some stuff. But I think overall we'll make out. Any questions on that one? It's key to get that done, otherwise we'll never be able to lift the moratorium.
And does that have a, does the consent order have a lifespan? Do
It
they
should.
Review it
Yep,
periodically?
it's drafted by DEP legal staff. It's
Okay.
concise that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Myself and the town administrator and town council have made every effort to work with DCR to get our intermunicipal sewer agreement updated. I'd like to think we've made some significant progress on our end. And we've identified several shortfalls in the existing agreement, but DCR has not been very forthcoming. And we're going to have to push them on that. That would be probably the only thing that would hold us back on lifting the moratorium in the spring would be that. Any questions on that?
Can I thank you and Mike for all the work that you've been doing on both of these fronts, but especially working with getting that, the intermunicipal agreement moving forward. I know that that's a big piece of a lot, so thank you.
Thank you.
There's, this may not be the best meeting, but going forward, we may want to consider suspension to go into all the nuances, because the suspension of the rules or closed session.
We might need to go into an executive session at some point just to go, because it's an ongoing negotiation.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of subtle nuances, so it may come to that. Updates on. We have an outstanding article to do some painting or some updates at the treatment plant that hasn't been done. We met with a vendor today to get some of that work done. And we've also been facing some real pump station challenges. We've had to get some people from outside in to help us with those.
How old are those pump stations?
Well, the Miles, I think, is the oldest one you have. And that's been real problematic.
Can I ask a question? This is
Sure,
something I've
that's-
asked kind of in the foresight as to planning for the future. What's the handle on the number of pump stations and kind of their longevity, kind of problems for capital planning as these, because we are adding pump stations to the system that the town is responsible for, right? So at some point, they have mechanical parts that need replaced, repair, whatever. Is there a capital plan in place to address those problems as they come in, rather than all of a sudden have 5 or 6 pump stations that have gone in a chunk of time?
Ideally, yes. We have roughly half a dozen pump stations. I don't think we're going to see any new ones anytime soon, per se. Rule of thumb is they last about 25 years. If you can imagine having a 25-year-old car, you start making significant repairs at that point. One of the things I mentioned in here is we have to work to improve our maintenance. Over the last couple of years, we've cut back on sewer staff quite a bit, and I think doing some better maintenance will definitely, expand the lifespan of those stations. The short answer to your question is yes, we are going to develop that.
Okay.
We're just not there yet.
For my own information, when you have a
Sure.
chance, can you send maybe to Mike to send around, or to me, just a list of the pump stations we have in town and their approximate age or date of go live or whatever, just for my own.
And the other thing I with that is I'd just be cognizant of 2 of them are for schools, or 3 of them are for schools, and they have much longer lifespans only because they don't get used as often.
Okay.
I want to circle back to that. We approved Grizzly Drive, the town did, as a public way a year ago, which is how long we've now owned that pump station. Have you reached out to the planning board, or is there still money left over for that pump station under our sewer use agreement? Because if there were that many problems with it and we just approved that road a year ago, that seems like a concern.
I can find out, but I,
Okay.
Isn't there some, some type of warranty,
Yeah.
whatever, some kind
not
of
usually
program
not more than a year, really.
on something that critical?
Yeah, usually a year is pretty standard. You'd be surprised.
I thought I remember something being in place where it had to be in working condition
Yeah.
in good working condition for a certain amount of years. The builder was still responsible for it.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look.
When was that installed? That pump station?
Well, it doesn't matter when it's installed, it's when we take over, there's a certain amount of time
Got it.
that they should be responsible for it. You know, if it takes 30 years to get that subdivision built, we're taking over a 30-year-old pumping station.
Fair enough.
We should be taking over one that, if it's not brand new, it's running at a brand new
Capacity.
capacity and ability. And I think there is something in there. We
Yeah,
should
I'm
look
just-
into that.
It's in here somewhere. I'm looking at pumping stations, and it's in the sewer use regulations.
As far as I know, Grizzly's all in town control, and that was done before I got here.
Barely. Yeah. Okay,
I can definitely find out, Wayne.
we need to look into that one. Yeah, that's very new.
Well,
Believe me, they called me like 7 times this weekend on Grizzly Drive. So
well, the first thing that comes to mind, if it's already having mechanical issues,
yeah,
were those
actually,
mechanical issues already begun before we took it over and we just didn't know it, and somebody didn't let us know?
but in this particular case, I think it's controls related or electrical, and that may have been a design flaw. So we have to wait and see how that plays out.
Okay.
But I can certainly report back to you as to the status of how we're in control of it. I have no problem doing that.
I think we need to know.
Anything else?
That's it.
On that, no.
Personnel, I can't get into details here, but we have we're going to be having some staff out for extended periods of time over the next couple months. At least 3 folks. And it's kind of challenging going into the snow season. So we've got some contracted plow operators available. We're probably going to add one. We've got some backups in place. I can talk to anybody outside of the meeting, but I can't get into that right now because it's personnel. We are also going to look at hiring a new water staffer now that we've got the water and sewer utility enterprise stuff set out. So that should get done the next couple months. I'm on my last page of notes, and I'm trying to go as fast as I can. So, equipment concerns. DPW doesn't have a really good working two-way radio system, and that makes plow operations real challenging. Yes.
I have a question. When
Sure.
you finish on this point, you can go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
All right. I guess, no, go ahead, because I want to hear if you address it during your,
On the two-way radios,
yeah,
we brought someone in and had them all evaluated. We were able to get some of them repaired,
okay.
but they have a band issue, which is not FCC compliant. And some of the radios are updatable, but roughly 20%. The
Yeah,
balance of them can't be updated.
because I know this was brought up at some point during CIPC,
I put
Yes.
it on the list.
a request. My question is, would it be more economical or efficient if we used phones versus purchasing of a whole new system, if that's coming down the pike?
We currently have phones now
Yeah,
that we got through that you can use push to talk.
Mhm.
They're
like
not,
the Nextels,
Yeah.
they're
essentially.
not, well,
Those are
they're
Not to
really,
date
have apps.
myself,
you
but
can't really get Nextel. It's an app that sits on top
Right.
of the phone that mimics
Yes.
that. But
God, Nextel.
I know, remember those?
And we're good. Perfect.
For those watching at home that don't understand, Google it. It was a
Yeah.
thing, I promise.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should get radios that look like Nextel, just now
I-
that we've had yellow.
myself and the administrator have had some pretty lengthy discussions about this, and there are some concerns given the recent legislation.
There are exemptions in that for emergency personnel. I'm wondering if that fits this exemption, because from what we've seen in terms of a radio system, it would be a pretty high expense, and a lot of your plowing, I'm assuming, is going to be done by independent contractors. So how
No,
does,
the majority of plowing in town is done by staff. So, I mean, last year we plowed entirely with town staff.
okay,
We brought additional plows on because we're gonna have some shortfalls, because we have people with some illnesses we have to address.
Yep.
It's actually the other way around. The majority of the staff are in town plows.
We have all of our DPW staff, 2 independent contractors this year, correct?
And we're probably
And-
gonna add a third, given
Yeah.
the recent
Two.
prognosis of some folks.
And then
Right.
our on-call firefighters are our backup. The people who are on duty at the fire
Right.
department are our backup.
okay. That was my question. I would just,
Yeah, there-
when we look at costs, I'd like to explore the option of,
No, I agree, and we went with the phones a year ago. We added that option, and it didn't cost, you're correct, the cost was minimal. It's just, in a snow event, radios are brutally effective, and they're much safer for somebody who's been driving a truck for 10 or 12 hours than a phone.
I think Mike Moriarty could probably speak to this as well, but we had one community that came on to regional dispatch that was doing an enormous amount of work through dispatch with DPW, and it became an issue as part of the regional center, because it, at the time, wasn't considered emergent, and it was taking up bandwidth. So hopefully what you guys have been
We-
talking
yeah.
about will.
We did meet to talk with Director Moriarty on this, and I forget the name of the piece of equipment, but he is in the process of helping us find whatever piece of equipment we need to get town-wide radio access for the DPW. Because as of this point, if you're on someplace on the Holden line, you can't reach someone who's on the other side
Yeah.
of the town because of our radio signals.
That was gonna be
What,
my
you
other
use
question
CBs?
was for.
No, they're gonna, sorry to
Oh,
interrupt
no,
you.
so, go ahead.
He's talking about a repeater.
Repeater, yeah.
And the repeater's gonna be installed regardless of whether we bought radios or not.
Yeah.
You need that for other operations.
Mhm,
We'd only be taking advantage of this, which would actually lower the cost.
mhm.
Okay.
But
That's what I was trying to get
I
to.
said in my notes, we don't have any numbers, so we may be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
okay.
My
Thank you.
question with the cell phone use is, I know as kind of the DPW's been using that for a few years at least, Are there parts of town that have no service? I don't know what coverage you're using, but I know multiple providers, there's no coverage in parts of town here.
They're on a special network through the state's emergency
they are on that
system.
one.
It's
Okay.
through AT&T,
Okay.
called FirstNet. There is a lot more coverage than
Skynet.
regular
Mhm.
AT&T service in town, but there are still some spots where it does get spotty. You will be able to hear someone most places. It might just be staticky in one
Yeah.
area.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
We don't use the FirstNet all the time.
Correct.
You have to actually, what it does is it gives you, in a real emergency, it gives you, the assumption is everybody would be using their phone if you had a hurricane or something like that. What FirstNet allows us to do is, in an emergency, we can bump up and get clear shots when there's so much traffic out there. We don't usually use that during the storms.
Yeah.
The only real dead spot we have is 68 near the town line. That's the worst one.
And the tower's right there.
Yeah.
For an example with the FirstNet thing, and not to interrupt Joe again, sorry about that, is for a larger example, when the Boston bombing happened at the marathon, they cut all cell phone use, except for this emergency network. So police,
Gets.
fire, and stuff like that could bump up to a separate one and still use cell phone service. We are now connected to that because Director Moriarty got us onto that system too. So in the event of an emergency here, like another ice storm or something like that, we would have access to that emergency network as well.
It's GETS, right?
Yep.
Gets.
One of the bigger challenges in the last couple of storms has definitely been communication. So we're trying to improve with communication regardless of how we do it. See if there's anything else. Equipment. I sent all my capital equipment requests on to CIPC. I'm sure
Yep.
they're under review at this time.
I think the group was going to invite you for a meeting at some point in January.
I did try and reach the chair today. I haven't been able to get him, but I'm
Okay.
more than willing to come in.
Yep.
Parks, some quick notes about equipment. We pressed the brush cutter we had into service, and that worked out great. The brush cutter does the work of what a field crew could do in a week and a day. So we're actually able to get caught up on some sewer easements, did some stormwater work clearing detention ponds, and we opened up a chunk of area in and around Putnam Park, which hasn't been exposed in some time. So
I know, I could see it driving by the other day. I'm like, oh.
What about the stump grinder?
the stump
Fire
garden's
that one up yet?
it's been ordered.
Oh, okay.
We also pressed the asphalt recycler into service, and we patched some potholes over on Wachusett using that. Just trying to think, sorry. Back to Putnam Park, I have concerns about the dam, and that's a town-owned dam, and it's a hazard, so at some point we're going to have to address that as well.
In what way is it a hazard?
I'm sorry?
In what way is it a hazard?
It hasn't been maintained.
So,
Maintain it.
I will get on that.
Thank you. Next problem.
The state's probably going to want to come in and evaluate it regardless, and it's in our best interest to be proactive with that and not reactive. We want to get the dam evaluated. You don't want to have a failure or have them come back after you after the fact.
okay, so I guess that was sort of my question. If the dam, if you have serious concerns about
No,
the
I
dam.
didn't say serious.
Okay.
I said I have concerns about
Oh.
the dam.
Not serious concerns.
Not serious.
Some concern, okay.
Like moderate concerns? What level of concern?
We need to
10.
triage our
Yeah.
concerns.
It's like the emoji, happy face.
The first step is to cut some of the brush off of the dam, and you're not supposed to be sorting it, have any growth on the earthen dam, and we'll start there and see if we see any leakage or anything like that. Then we have to get probably an engineer in to look at it, probably the water and sewer engineer, Weston Sampson, and get somebody to evaluate it. Again, you don't, with dams that are owned by the town, you don't want to wait, because the state can be persnickety. You're better off to be proactive.
That word has to make the minutes. I want to see that in the minutes.
I want to see how it's spelled.
So is there like, I'm just trying to picture, because it's a relatively small pond.
It is.
Is there like some tributary that it's feeding to go
There-
to miles, or
Yeah.
where's it hit?
Molten, I think,
No.
eventually. No?
It's a little
think
too
it
far
does.
out. It's too far left.
Too far, no, it goes to the pond that, Molten ends up in.
Yeah.
Way near Devereaux.
Yeah,
Pond.
it ends up there.
There. Okay.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
which circles right back to his culvert at the rail trail.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, based on you're just talking about clearing the brush right now, so you don't know really the extent of
I don't.
repair it needs or any indication. I mean, that anything would need to be done with it at all.
Maybe not at all,
Yeah,
but I just want to call attention to it.
got it.
That's why I put it on the list.
Great.
Thank you.
And you did.
I mentioned Miles, Miles Road is flooding basically due to the rain. Are there any additional questions on that?
Where is it flooding? I mean, is it, where on Miles is
I
it?
only brought it up because you mentioned it again. It's flooding at the low point.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
Where the water is. Is it on the road?
Yes, it's flooding in
The
two
road?
places on the
Cover on
road,
the road?
That's an
Yes.
engineering analysis.
It's
Right.
flooding where the
The
water
low
is.
point.
right.
at the low
At the
point.
corner going up to
At Yogi
Devereaux?
Berra.
or
You
the
you
back?
come off of Palmagussit, you go to the base of the hill, it's flooding
Right
there, and then you go a little bit further, it's flooding again.
Is this just attributed to? I know the state had several flood watches over the last week.
Mhm.
Is it just because of the water table?
That's the lead factor, but
Yeah.
there's capacity question. I have concerns about the capacity of the culverts under Miles, and we think we have a failed culvert under the rail trail that has to be addressed.
Okay.
There's
That
also
section-
some beaver activity in the pond.
Oh,
I was saying, because this is a new problem, right?
No, like, I talked to the staff, and institutionally, they said it's been a problem for some time, it just hasn't been this worse. It hasn't been this bad.
But you get 2 feet of snow followed by 2 days of rain when the ground is frozen.
Well, you got a school that buses are going by.
Yeah.
So.
And it's unfortunate, the only thing we have in the toolbox is to wait till it drains back down.
Yeah.
We looked at pumping the water somewhere, but there was nowhere else to pump it where it wouldn't end back up. in
And I
that
wish I
spot.
could say it's just the melt, or it's just a failed culvert, or it's just the beavers, but it's a whole bunch of stuff.
could be a combination of
Right.
everything.
The lead, the one that's, we can attribute it most to would be the rain and the melt.
If you could
I-
just move the beavers from there to Putnam. Can't.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be asking
Yeah.
this in a public meeting, but like, what is your recourse concerning beavers? If there is a beaver issue, do we have them removed and trapped and removed and moved somewhere, or what do you do with those when you encounter them?
You apply
Wow.
to Mass Wildlife is what you do
Yeah, for somebody to.
for a special permit, yeah.
Yeah.
Public
There
hazard.
isn't a lot we can do unless, we can get an emergency 10-day permit to remove debris from the dam or to lower the dam to get it down. We
Yeah.
did that recently on River Road.
Mhm.
The beavers were leading to flooding, where it was starting to wash over the road. We got a 10-day permit and basically went in. The police contacted the homeowners on our behalf. We didn't get emergency right of access. That's the biggest problem. You don't have any right to go on those properties, but it was considered enough of a hazard. We went in and removed debris.
That's
The
why-
beavers do come back and put it back, but at least we're able to get it down enough to recover the road.
That's why those 10-day emergency permits are issued by the health agent for the town, because by law, the health agent is the only one who can authorize a town official to go onto property without property owner permission.
But-
And that's so we can get to the beaver
Oh.
dam.
The beavers themselves would be a state issue.
Yeah.
We don't contract with a company that
We
that's
don't.
licensed in removing.
Yeah, we have
The
to
only,
get a
the only
permit from
thing we
the
would
state.
end up doing that is if it was town-owned property.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So if it was our land, and the culvert was blocked on our land and causing flooding on our road, then yeah, we could contract with someone to trap them. But other than that, no. Okay, so, for nothing else there. The only thing I have left really is, special projects. We opened up the parking lot for a couple events. We're reluctant to use it all the time because it's not paved yet. So we're gonna open it up for like this, the school, is having their winter concert. We'll open up for that. And we'll hopefully get it paved in the spring. Anything else?
I have some questions. 'cause
Shoot.
I was taking notes. Are you ready?
Yeah?
It starts me in. The storms. Obviously, we started the season really big.
Yes.
We have historically, consistently, dramatically underfunded your snow and ice line item because it's the only one, as you know, we can overspend,
Right.
which is a lovely thing, except we still have to come back in the spring
Then spring and, yes.
and pay it back. Are you going to give somebody, Mike, us, anyone, kind of an update as to where you are? I'm assuming you haven't hit it yet.
No, we
Okay.
haven't hit it yet.
Okay, that's great. I was reading about the sand barrels. I heard what you were saying about Cool Sandy and those areas. Are there sand barrels out for the public as well, like we usually have?
There's a pile of sand out for the public to come and get sand, yes.
Great, and it's outside the gate so they can
Yeah,
get to it.
no, it's inside the gate.
It's inside the gate.
It's inside the gate, but most often right after a snowstorm, we don't close the gate.
Okay, great.
We keep the gate closed during, during off hours because we found that private companies were coming in to take a lot of sand, and it's meant for the public. So if you see the gate closed, you're welcome to walk down and shovel a bucket full, but that's why we had to keep the gate closed. It got abused.
I should know the answer to this, but I don't. The culvert under the rail trail, that section of rail trail is owned by who?
I don't know.
Okay. Could we contact Wachusett Greenways?
I talked to them today,
You did?
yes.
Okay. I think they are just outside of a round of grants. They're very good at getting grants. I just don't think we're in the right window right now to get one.
I don't.
Okay. I'm moving on. The timeline for your meeting of the water sewer commissioners.
Yes.
I'm envisioning this where we actually could work in an executive session with the board for the contract. We could do a special meeting, or we could do a regular night. I just don't see it happening before January. So that's why I asked about the bills and what those residents who have requested abatements were planning to do.
I can't speak to what each individual one is doing, but I think as long as you're honoring their request, it's what we
Ri-
need to do.
Right, but their bills are
They-
coming due, and we will not probably meet to make a decision prior to that due date. That's why I was just. So,
Well, still gonna have to pay the bill and then get an abatement.
well, right, and that's what he said, that was suggested to them, that they pay it and hope for a reimbursement if it's
Reimbursement.
approved.
Or credit on the next
Credit on the
bill.
account, yeah, okay. Did anybody express concern about that you know of?
I can forward all the letters on to you and you can review them.
Well, we should have those ready for the meeting.
Mhm.
Okay, so, what are we looking at, Mike, date?
I mean, there's not much on the agenda for the 12:30 meeting if you want to do a regular one.
Let's do it.
I would imagine,
Or the 13th of
are
January?
we also gonna have your evaluation
Yeah.
at that meeting? I mean, that's gonna tie up a good deal of time,
Mhm.
you know? And then you got people, a lot of folks, homeowners, they might be traveling for the holidays
Yeah.
and
And if they
stuff
want to
like that.
speak,
Yeah.
yeah.
If they wanna come in, it might not be a good time.
So
I
maybe
mean,
the 113 meeting?
yeah.
realistically, pushing it into January gives everybody the best opportunity, even if it's, I guess, less convenient on a time frame. It gives more people the opportunity to come and speak.
So let's do,
I think it's more important to give those folks a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure you do that.
Yep.
Thank you.
so this will look a little weird, but what we can do is start with an executive session. That will let our meeting for the water sewer commissioners start a little later, which is generally better for anyone who lives here in town and wants to come to a meeting. They need to get home and get settled and get their family fed, or whatever they need to do. And maybe we can just work out
Yeah.
how that gets posted as far as the board and the commissioners.
Yeah.
Okay. Try to keep the rest of the agenda light. So the 13th. Great. I asked you about
Thank you.
I asked you about Grizzly. Wayne and I found there is a reference, by the way, in our documentation. It's addendum F. You might want to take a look at 20 years of a guarantee on the pump
Okay.
stations. Good times. And then I just want to ask you about.
I'm sorry, 20 years after we take ownership?
You know what? I think so. Yeah.
They're responsible for it for 20 years.
No, I think it's within
It's not responsible.
20
for it.
years from the commencement of pump station operation.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a
To
capital
us.
reserve account
Isn't it to
in
us,
place.
not from operation,
That
beginning
wouldn't
of
make
operation?
sense, because if it took
Yeah.
30 years to build out, you have
Yeah.
a 50-year pump life. I mean,
We need to reread this and kind of
Yeah.
review it. Maybe
Which
get
is
a
what I
little-
said earlier.
Yeah. My last question for you about the issues with personnel and just snow coming up. Is it appropriate for you to let the residents know who the regular contractors are, so when they're seeing these trucks, they know that they are town contracted trucks? That's the first question. And the second, I hate to ask this, but I'm going to ask it. How much of our equipment do you think is going to end up sitting because we don't have enough in-house drivers because we're short-staffed? I know.
2 to 4 pieces, depending on the storm.
Okay.
We're very lucky here in Rutland. The majority of the staff show up when it snows.
Okay.
We always have a couple pieces that are spare that are older. So
Oh.
I'd say 2 to 4 pieces will sit.
All right. Questions? Those were mine. No?
Nope.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Onward.
We have our new VSO in the
Yeah.
back of the room, Miss
Yep.
Sarah Wyman.
Waiting patiently. Come on up, Sarah. Oh, sure.
All right. I didn't
Welcome.
bring anything.
That's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
We're just happy to see you.
No, I'm happy to be here.
So like we said last week when Sarah was officially appointed by the board, Sarah currently is the VSO in Westminster, Ashburnham, Princeton, and Hubbardston.
Yes.
All right. Air Force veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Also married to an Air Force reservist member, correct?
He's active duty.
Oh, he's active duty.
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, just, really excited to have Sarah on board, and we brought her in today with our town clerk, Anita Carlson, here to swear her in so everyone can see.
Excellent.
That's great for me.
That's what we figured. So, if you will raise your right hand. Do you, Sarah Wyman, solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially perform your duties as the Veteran Service Officer for the town of Rutland to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. And if you'll sign our, whoops, just right there. And then maybe give me your email address so I could send you fun stuff.
I've checked with all the towns that Sarah works with, and they're all glowing reviews. We're really excited to have her on board, and I do have to say, Sarah, I really appreciate your willingness to just kind of jump on this and get going. So, thank
Well,
you.
I
very much.
appreciate it and hope I can do a good job for you guys. I'm excited to get started. So
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you
to
so
have
much.
you here.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your service. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your service to us.
thank you very much.
Welcome.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for waiting until 7:46.
Oh, that's all right.
Six.
Anita too. Was very patient. Very patient.
Thanks for coming in. Have a good Christmas.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah.
Mike, you are
Thanks,
up.
Anita.
All right. Couple of different things we have here. I received notification that I officially passed the last remaining class for my Massachusetts Certified Public Purchasing Official designation from the Commonwealth. There is an application to verify with the Inspector General's office that I have taken and passed all of their 3 classes. So once that application has been reviewed, I'll get the official certificate. But I have passed all the classes and met the requirements. So that goes in to let you know.
Congratulations.
Real life milestone.
Thank you. I know, right? Yeah.
Can you just go through that we all paid to have you take these classes, and now we have to pay again so that you get the certificate to confirm that
Yes.
you passed the classes because it wasn't inclusive with the. I'm disgusted.
So the
Not with you.
thank you. The Inspector General's office requires that in order to obtain the designation as a certified purchase official, you're required to take 3 3-day classes throughout the course of the year that are ballpark $600 a piece. And then after passing them, you have to submit a application to have them verify that you took and passed their classes with another $75 application fee for their review and query check.
The same
Um,
agency.
Yes.
Okay.
But I passed, so
Congratulations.
thank you.
Now you just gotta get certified.
Yeah. Just want to give the residents a heads up that we do have some changes in our schedule coming up due to the holiday season. On December 24th, which is Christmas Eve, town offices will be closing at noon. Christmas Day, we will be closed, and the day after Christmas, we are opening at 11 a.m. On New Year's Eve, town offices will be closing at noon, and we will be closed New Year's Day with regular hours on January 2nd. The holidays kind of fell at an odd spot this year where they're on Wednesdays, but they're on Fridays next year. So we won't have to worry about that then. While we're speaking about the holidays, we do have some different events going on at the town hall that we'd like to bring the public's attention to. We have a food drive to benefit the Rutland Food Pantry. that's currently ongoing. Anyone who'd like to bring non-perishable donations can do so at the town administrator's office in the town hall annex. We also have a toy drive. One of our staff members and their family is hosting a toy drive in memory of their late son. So those toys can be dropped off at the annex and will be donated to the children's unit at UMass Memorial Hospital in Worcester. And on the fun side of things, we have a door decorating contest going on in our town offices that our schools have now also decided to join in on. So what we'll be doing is we'll be posting the pictures of the doors for the public to vote on over the course of this and next week, and we'll be awarding a People's Choice Awards on the doors on top of the Employee Choice.
Wow. All the schools?
At least CTMS.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the other ones. I want to welcome our new recording secretary for the Select Board, Tamika Murphy, here with us. She is observing today so that she can start on the December 30th meeting in the chair.
In the
for us.
chair.
So,
Tamika, every night of the week except Friday. Is that where you are right now?
It depends on a busy day.
Okay.
So sometimes not Wednesdays, and
Sometimes
Yeah.
not Wednesdays.
that's okay.
Okay.
It's good.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Happy
You know,
to
we
have
go
I'm happy to do it.
long some nights.
Yes,
Too much. Yeah.
that's okay. I'm all right with it.
Okay.
we wanted to make the residents aware that, so our school department, as part of their counseling services, is contracted with a service called Interface, which is a counseling referral service that's free and anonymous. But because the school district is participating in this program, all of the member communities have access to this free referral program for all of the residents of the town. So the school department provided us with a bunch of information cards that we currently have located at the community center for anyone who's interested in taking advantage of this.
What does the program cover?
It is referral services
Five, you know.
for different mental health counseling, for trying to find a new pharmacist, things of that. It covers a very broad range of services, and it's just if you don't know who to call or you'd like to just talk to someone, it's a free service
Great.
that we have available to the citizens.
For all ages.
For all ages, yep. We finally went live with our new phone system at the town offices. We're going to ask that the public work with us over the course of the next couple of weeks, as we're still getting used to the new phone system. When you call, you go to a phone tree. We'll be making our extensions public on the town website, so that people can see. That way you don't have to wait to go through the whole phone tree. But over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're still learning it. We're just asking people to be patient with us as we still try to figure that out. It is going good so far. All of our offices now have full caller ID and voicemail capabilities, which we didn't have 2 weeks ago. So we're moving up in the world there. Just a reminder to members of the public, too, that because December has 5 weeks in it and the select board meets by bylaw every other week, that we'll be switching from the first and third Monday of the month to the second and fourth Monday of the month until we get another 5-week month. Dave, George, and I have found a commercial broker who's willing to work with the town to market the Rutland Heights property. It is Kelleher and Sadowski out of Worcester, who is a very reputable broker, commercial broker firm, who was actually suggested to us from Deputy Secretary McGorthy and Mass Econ as a suggestion when we reached out to 3 different brokers with that process there. So we are working with the RDIC to work out the details of that when we can get that off the ground.
Tim recommended somebody from Worcester, huh?
Yeah,
Shocking.
3 people from Worcester County. all
I'm
from
shocked.
Worcester.
Totally shocked.
And we're almost done. Congratulations to our town treasurer, Becky Tuttle. She is the new president of the Worcester County Treasurer Collectors Association.
Great.
And we received notification on a couple of the grants that we have applied for. We did not get our housing choice grant, where we applied for a couple different pocket parks. We were told we had one of the strongest applications on its face, but where we didn't get the points in the end was at the best practices, which were bonus points on top of the general
Yeah,
application.
it's always the bonus points.
Please don't tell me it was planting trees, because.
No.
What's
No.
It was.
was this
Tree farm.
was this the grant that we had to rewrite?
Yeah, there were certain portions that came back and asked for more information, but that's the part where we scored really well on.
The part that we wrote versus our subcontractor route.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was just that we aren't doing some of the best practices that they've identified. So now Dave, Joe, and I are going to just be meeting to go over where we can do better for next year. But that being said, at around 4 o'clock today, I was notified from the Massachusetts Office on Disabilities that we received $38,909 for ADA upgrades to our town facilities. They're going to cover all $18,468 for the community center walk, so we can potentially rescind that vote that we just took at town meeting.
Nice job.
To have them cover that, and they will also be covering $20,441 to install a new stair and handicap ramp at the town hall building as well.
Oh, that's
Yes.
fantastic.
So
Nice.
both are about 20 years old. Both have been patched. We've already talked about issues with the community center walk, but the front handicap ramp at the community hall has also just been patched with asphalt when it has potholes in it. So we got the grant
Nice.
for that one. We'll be
Nice.
taking a
Congratulations.
thank you. We'll be
Very good, thank you.
taking a picture after that for a soon press release with all the official details. But just to get that out in the public, that was our good news that we got today. So other than that, just Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year.
Great.
All right, that was good. That was a good presentation. Well,
Yes.
we didn't get a pocket park, but we got a ramp.
Yep.
It's good. It's good. All right, is there anyone here for public comment? Name and address?
Like an answer, because we've been back and forth trying to get to use the community center for the Rutland Senior Pitch Club.
Okay.
Nobody seems to get back to us to give us an answer whether we can be there or cannot be there. I would like a clarification. I've left my phone number, I've done everything you people told me to do, and I've gone to the town hall, I've gone to the rec department, I've talked to you. Nobody gets back to us. And I would like to know, are we welcome back or not? Who makes a decision?
Okay, so where are we with them forming an official club under recreation? Which was my concern.
So you met with Recreation.
I met with Rec, and she said that she has nothing to do with that building, except that there's a group of people who work out there every Thursday night that comes under the rec department. So what part of the rec department does not use that building? I'm not sure. I did meet with her, and she said the only place would be the basement of the town hall, which is really deplorable, and some other little building that's in the way back.
Right?
Where we are seniors, and if we can't even go to use the community senior center, which is a little more safer than go into in the back of the fire department and more parking, where can we go?
Are you registered as a town club, or are you just a private club?
They're just-
We were just a bunch of people who like to play
Okay, so I guess,
seniors at the senior center on a Thursday night.
okay,
That
So
was
just-
it. That's all we asked for, was Thursday night, can we please go? We did it for a year. They gave us the key to go and unlock, and we locked up.
Understood.
We cleaned up everything. We brought our own tables, our own chairs. What we brought out.
I understand. I guess the concern, and I hope you can understand, is that you're a private club
No, we're
consisting
not a
of...
private club. We're part of the seniors of this town.
No, I understand that.
Okay, I just want you to
But
get
you were
that
asking
clear.
for access to a public facility after and outside of operating hours. Is that correct?
Well, maybe you should make it operational, because, there's a bunch of seniors who are able to get out at night. They don't need a babysitter, and we still get around, and we take care of things.
How many members are there in the...
We had, it varies depending on the time of the year. And it's not really, it's not a club, it's not exclusive, anybody can come. In the wintertime, there's a few people who leave for Florida for 3 months. So that would bring our 16 number of people down to maybe 12. Sometimes it's 8. In the springtime, it may go back up because everybody's back.
Are they all Rutland residents?
They're all Rutland residents, and they're all Rutland seniors to begin with. And they're all Rutland taxpayers, number one. Now, if you want a fee from us, make it reasonable. The $85 a night that I saw on that form was a little, for one night, nobody.
It seems to me if it's a senior center, why is there an issue with seniors using it?
If it's after hours, it's a liability issue.
There is
But they're part of the senior center.
Well, no,
Why is
there's
there a
not
set?
part of the
There
senior
is a
center.
pitch club, correct, that's operating through
Through
the
the senior
Council on Aging. It's just not the same game and the same people that you're talking about. Is that fair?
I don't know. I didn't know if they had a pitch club. I know a group of people meet in the afternoon.
In the
to play.
afternoons?
Some of them come back on Thursday night to play. Those are the same people who
There's
come back
some of it
on
is the
Thursday
same.
night. So it's still the same group.
Okay,
I can't go during the day because I have 5 grandkids who is always the one coming to my house that need to be taken care of.
so,
We go out on Thursday night because Friday night's not good for everybody. A lot of people still have husbands and they go home to their husband, they go out. There's a lot of people who are widowed or they like to come and go out on a Thursday night, play cards and go home. That's it.
okay, so
Maybe-
let's go back to where you started, which was you weren't getting answers. So there's a couple answers that we need to give you right away, which is the town currently does not allow private residents to simply get a key to any building when it happens to be available and have a birthday party or a bar mitzvah or
Okay, I
or a
understand that
reception or a card game.
What
Which
we-
is why we sent you to Recreation to become an official club. And what Recreation said to you was, because their scheduling hinges around, right now, 2 buildings, which you weren't happy with, you then got kind of put, it sounds like, into a bit of a limbo with that.
It's a bit of a limbo because I'm not getting any clarification from anybody.
Did-
Okay,
so
we went, you told me,
Yep,
give us a name. All right, the Rutland Senior Pitch Club.
right.
That's it. How many members? Really? As long as we have 8 people to play, because we play 4 to a table, that's more than enough.
Yeah, I
If
don't,
we have 16, that's a lot. We never go more than that.
Right.
Never more than that. So I went up and she says, you don't have a form to fill out. I said, what form? No form. Okay? I said, what do we do? Tell me what we've got to do to use this building.
which building?
Go back to the senior center. What
The
part of the
community
senior center are we not allowed to use?
Well,
Anytime.
I think the way this started was the fact that we had concerns about access and light and, right, relative to the walkway, which is now being repaired because we
Everything's
got
been,
that.
from what I can see,
Well, no,
some of it's been taken care of.
been
some,
patched.
some of it has
Okay.
been,
Sort of. Yeah, because they got the lights in there that if you don't stop waving your hands, they go off.
So isn't there also, there's a Friday pitch group as well, isn't there?
Pardon?
Is there a separate
Yeah,
pitch?
if I,
So how many,
the,
are they also meeting after hours?
so the Council on Aging sponsors 2 card groups. There's one Thursday afternoon, one Friday night. That Friday night one is also not meeting during the winter months for the same reason as,
For the safety reasons that
Yes.
we talked about
Yes.
the
so
last
all the,
meeting.
yeah.
Well, the
Um,
Friday night one, they stopped because there weren't enough people showing up.
Okay, so
That's a Friday night.
So let's circle back. I want to make sure we have
Okay.
answers and we're moving forward. We told you private residents don't just get to go get a key. That's across the board. Go to Recreation, form a club. She offered you 2 locations. Is it fair to say you don't want either of those locations? You don't want the Wood Studio and you don't want the basement of Community Hall,
Definitely.
no matter what.
If I asked her, I said, why can't we go back to where they
Well, no,
were?
but hold on.
She said no.
You
because-
don't-
Because, number one, the town hall is very dreary. And I'm sorry, build a new town hall. I can't.
We've all met there. I
It's
don't-
been there forever. You know, I know, and it smells. And a lot of these people, like myself, are asthmatic. So if I go into some place where you can smell the mold, or I'm sick for a week.
I got to stop you. For just public record, that building is being used every day. It is not a dangerous
Downstairs,
building.
what are they using
We
for?
have all been meeting in it
Scouts.
for a
Scouts.
very long time.
Different
And the Wood
groups
Studio
meet
is
there.
actually really nice
The
too.
Wood Studio's
See,
lovely.
NBC meets in there.
Cozy.
Nice view.
There's a fireplace that we probably wouldn't let you
I
use,
know,
but
why
there's.
would you give us the fire department? Or, that'd be great, it'd be right there, I wouldn't have to worry.
But you said you don't want the Wood Studio.
Pardon?
You don't want the Wood Studio though.
It's the little brown house
It's way
behind the
up,
fire
I've been
station.
to that once when my grandson had something.
Yep.
It was difficult to get to
You
and
drive-
difficult to park.
You drive right up to it. You literally
Yeah,
drive
it's-
up to the ramp.
It's a dirt road, you
Yeah.
drive right
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
an
Drive-
access way behind the fire station.
Yep. You don't park at the fire station. You drive right up to it.
I'll have to take a look
You
at
want
it.
to take,
because
okay, take another look.
I don't recall it being like that, because I recall having to park beyond the fire station and walk because there was no place to
You could
to
drive
park.
But there is, in forming an actual group or a committee, or an actual group through rec, that takes care of, or addresses some of those liability issues, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because then they're a town group, yeah.
So I mean, I think that's really the first step, is you have to register as that group.
Okay, so if I register with the rec department,
Mhm.
can they get us into the community center on the other side? Never mind the seniors. Evidently, only seniors are allowed on that right-hand side. What about the left-hand side of that hall?
Okay, so we have two things. I hesitate to use the word register. There's some steps that they'll have to take, right? The
That's right.
rec department runs programs, and this is a program that rec will have to take on and essentially run in name only, and say, here's our club, and
Okay,
it's on the
'cause I
calendar.
wouldn't want
Yeah.
them to say, only seniors can do it. No, because
No.
it can't be that way.
Sure.
Well,
Well,
I'm
it
sure- I
could
mean,
be
there's
anything.
It would be.
Like the Girl Scouts when they use Wood Studio.
Yeah.
That's not run by rec, is it? I mean, that is
No,
just
so
a,
it's-
No.
Yes.
But they are a nonprofit. So we have nonprofits that are using
got it.
buildings all the time. This,
The-
you don't
This
want
is
to be a
not-
nonprofit. You
No.
really need to be a program under the recreation
If
department.
it were making profit, I wouldn't be here.
No, nonprofit.
Why,
Yeah, the,
Not profit.
in
No,
your
we're
binders too,
non-profit.
because it was on the agenda for later. You'll see I put the building use regulations that the board passed in November 16th, and then amended last year,
Yeah.
February 12th of last year, that show basically everything that Ms. Munson's talking about. So you can see what
Right.
she's getting at there in terms of what the requirements are for use of the building. Why nonprofit or for profit was because they needed to submit liability insurance to the town, basically just because of the issues if someone got hurt there, it's on the town.
And to circle
or
back
if
to one of,
someone, even if someone breaks into the facility. I mean, there's a huge liability issue.
yep, there always is. Now, there are communities, and the brand new Sterling Senior Center is a good example. They are set up to lease out their building when it is available and unused. They charge a building use fee, they charge a cleaning fee, they charge for, in some cases, a part-time employee to be there to supervise. They've set that up to work that way. It's a brand new building. It's a whole different scenario right now. I want to get back to the fees for you. If you look in the building use form, the fees do look rather high. If you look at
Weekly, if you,
yes, if you look farther down, we can use the Girl Scouts, continue to use them as an example. What's happening is they are posting a list of, and again, this is for a nonprofit, a list of all of their meetings, because they do meet monthly or bi-weekly or whatever they're meeting,
Yeah.
and they're being charged once. And that's for, say, an annual fee. And there's some flexibility there for the nonprofits. There's certainly no
okay, so
intention
that
on
would be a yearly fee and not a weekly fee.
For the
That I
nonprofits.
can accept.
Well,
That
it's
I-
for the nonprofits.
Okay.
You're still not a nonprofit.
So
We
I'm not
still
a-
need you to be a program.
Definitely.
And so here's where we're back to our last problem, which is we would love you to go look at the Wood Studio because we think it's great. I love that room. I think you'd actually really enjoy it, especially with your smaller group in the winter. But anyway, back to where you really want to be on Glenwood Road at the community
Yeah.
center. The Council on Aging director continues to have concerns about evening use of the building that I think we're not done addressing yet. Lighting is improved, but that walkway, the money to repair it just got approved. So we have I think that's where we're stuck, right?
It's a liability issue.
It's a liability, then the building is really a liability, period. So take care of the building, shut it down to everybody until everything in there is taken care of and can be used by the whole community and just not just during the daytime because there's daylight. That is
Right,
that is
I understand. But the
unacceptable.
building has open hours that is open to the public.
Change them.
Right now, we're talking about accommodating a public building to a private group of citizens, and that's a dangerous precedent to be
But
setting.
you know, these citizens are the ones who paid for that building to be bought. These citizens are the same people who pay their salaries. So accommodate the people for a change instead of just taking their money. We want a place to go to play cards. This would be great. Just move these chairs around. This would be a nice room.
I'll just give you an example. and we hear that a lot. I pay taxes, I should be getting this. We have people in town who pay an
I
enormous,
understand what they pay.
an enormous amount of taxes who, knock on wood, lucky, have never had to call fire, police, or ambulance
That's right.
and send their kids to private schools. So they're paying for schools. They're not sending their kids to those schools.
Yeah.
Under your argument, they would have the right to come to us and say, I pay for schools and I don't use them and I want to have my kid's 7th birthday at the community center Saturday. We cannot do that. We can't.
Should be able to do something for this group of people who want to play cards.
We can.
Set something up for me. Take me aside. Show me how to
But
fill this form
we've
out.
provided you options
and
on,
wait.
we've provided you options on space. We provided you path to use the facilities. We have a structure in place with building use agreements that we've passed as a board. I don't know what else we can do. I mean, if you're expecting us to hand you a key to a public
No,
facility
I'm not
after
expecting
hours.
anything. I'm expecting some answers on how to accomplish this.
I
Okay? And I
re-
went to get the form. Nobody knows what form they're
All right.
talking about.
I really want this to be a program under rec. Seems to
I
me
really
that's
want this taken care of soon.
okay.
And number one, you talk about where it's gonna be. Don't forget, these people who play cards are not 20 years old. And some of them do have a hard time walking. So
And that's why we can't use the senior center, because we don't have a
Yeah.
ramp.
You do too. That's a walkway. When was the last time you were up there?
Like
They-
3 days
they fixed
ago.
it. They put concrete on it, there's no holes on it, and there is a rail. Definitely, the lighting could be a lot better, but it isn't. So, fix it. There are a lot of things, so you do know, you told me yourself, there were a lot of things that need to be fixed in there. So, get the list and fix it.
So you were at town meeting. You know and everyone that was involved, wanted to see it happen, and the town, thank God, approved the money. Of course, now we have the money from 2 different places to say these are time-sensitive repairs that need to be done.
That's right.
They have not been done yet. We're making Band-Aid repairs right now to get us through. So here's what we need to do with you. We get you to be a program under rec, and I have to be honest, I feel like at this point, knowing how long it's going to take for our DPW superintendent, director to get this project
I went
start
the
to
rec and asked
finish.
for a form. She says, what
No,
form?
I know, but we'll fix that part. Let's circle back. I don't see you getting back in the community center this winter. I don't. So we get you back to 2 locations that I know aren't your favorite, but at least they're available. At least we can try to fit you into them. And
Okay.
I think
I can appreciate that. But
Okay.
like I said, when I went, they had no form. to fill out.
we're gonna work that
I
out.
go, okay.
We're gonna
now
work that-
Where do I go? I go, okay.
Mike,
You tell me to do something, I go and do it, and nobody knows anything about it, and I go,
anyway, Mike, you could arrange for maybe this week a nice tour of the wood studio.
Yeah.
If Mike's around during the
Sure, we can do
during the
that.
week, he could take you
And-
back there, open
yeah.
it up for you. I think if you
And-
saw it inside, because we had our meetings there. I mean, it's cozy.
I love
It
it.
used to be an artist's
as
studio
long as
with
you
a
can get
full-
4 card tables, that's all we
Oh,
need.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's got 2 bathrooms. It's got a sink, and I think even in the winter it'd be
Yeah.
nice. I think it's a
And is it
Yeah.
loud in the wintertime?
Joe.
Yes, it's possible.
Can you help us?
Okay.
Wasn't plowed for CIPC the other night, Joe, so we'll bring that up.
Thank you.
You're not a club.
I will say too, and I know it's not ideal, but just so you're aware, over this past summer, Joe and I talked, and it was like $1,100 worth of work in the basement of the community hall. We
Yes.
repainted, we got all dehumidifiers to get that smell out of there. There's brand new lights that are in there. So it's not the nicest in terms of looking nice, but we did do a lot of work there too. So we did try to clean that up as
I
well.
understand, but the next time you wanna shampoo those rugs, rip those rugs up and put tile.
Oh, there's
That's
no rugs
all that
downstairs.
concrete
Yeah,
does.
It's tile now.
Yeah, it's
Not
done.
no,
senior
she's
center.
back to
Oh,
the community
so-
center.
Senior
Oh.
center isn't, they get carpeting, and that carpeting, the moisture from the concrete comes up. And when you wash it, the water stays, and that's where you get the mold.
Oh,
I
I
know
was
that
talking about
for a
the
fact.
town hall building.
Pardon?
I was talking about the town
3
hall
different
building.
places
Maybe
now.
show her.
Oh, no, we're talking 2 different things already.
Yeah.
Are you available this week to meet with Mike and go take a
Not
look
tomorrow.
at this week?
And not Wednesday.
We'll figure it out.
Thursday. We'll figure it out.
Could you do that?
I can drop in on him anytime.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you'll like. I think it's cozy. I do.
And to look at the
I think you'll
basement
like it.
again with all the work that you guys did
Yeah,
over
I
the
know.
summer.
Take it to the woods.
It's like I said,
Get the form
just tell me
for it
what
to
we
fill
need
out
to
the
do,
rec.
and
Oh,
I
yeah.
will
That's easy enough.
be happy
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about, a 1 year fee.
Because you meet regularly.
I don't mind doing
I would-
that. But when I
Well, yeah.
read it, and it was every time you wanted it.
But remember, it really didn't apply to you. So as a program, the people who do recreation programs, whether it's summer fun, there are fees attached, they're gonna work something out that is amenable to everybody.
If a
That's fine. I
custodian
can
has to
deal with
come and
that.
clean up, we gotta make it right for the custodian. How?
Well, yeah, and which gets back to the fees,
The one-time
right?
fee
The
would be
fees are
less.
based on.
Yeah, because we clean up after ourselves. Like I said, when we went there, we brought our own card tables and our own chairs. And we fold them up and we put them away. We're not sloppy.
What time is
Sorry.
good for you on Thursday?
Pardon?
What time is good for you on Thursday?
We usually start at 7.
No, to meet with Mike.
Oh,
And
I'll
on
be there all day.
Thursday?
Yeah,
Anytime during the day?
anytime during the day, yeah.
And I think there were,
As long as we're not snowed in, I don't care.
That works, that
So
works.
that-
That's his
do
job,
that.
so.
And then Mike will help with any application that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Joe will plow the snow. All
That's
right?
great.
If the fees get
That's-
crazy, we'll circle
yeah,
back on
it's
the-
not fees through recreation,
Yeah.
they're gonna work out a programming
Okay,
fee. It's
that's
not the
fine.
same
Let's
as the building use.
Start there
That's
for
fine.
for
If we
this
keep getting
week's
this
plan.
kind of snow that we've been getting, I don't want to be out anywhere. So,
After all that, you're not gonna meet any Thursday up until, April, that's fine.
I don't care. But yes, I will stop in to talk to you. And thank you. And like I said,
I think we're
all
good.
we need is some help
I
to
know, we're good.
to
You're gonna get it
get
from
Yeah.
through this.
And I'm sitting here thinking, kind of hoping that we can figure out a way so that you're not carrying tables in and out.
If this
you
guy
know.
can't solve the problem
That's
for
right.
you,
Yeah.
it's
You
unsolvable.
know, it's Christmas time, what can I tell you? Everybody's busy doing things, but I
No.
accept that.
We understand.
But
So
we
hold-
want to be able to start, when the weather starts getting to be nice.
So can I just ask one more question? Are we time sensitive for this Thursday? What's happening this Thursday night?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
We have too much going on
Yeah.
right now.
right before the holidays.
I think Sean was volunteering his
No,
house
I-
because he kept having his hand up
No,
there.
hold on, Sean, hold
I do
on.
have a question.
No, hold on.
If I had a
No.
big enough place, I'd love to have you.
How
but
big?
my
4
place
card
is
table?
175 Berry
It's not
Paxton
big enough.
Road.
We could rotate through our houses.
Okay. You're invited to come anytime, though. You
I
like to
just
play
think, I think
bridge.
it's ridiculous.
So this week, you don't think because of the holidays, and
The
then.
holidays here because we have Christmas things to go to for the kids
Oh, right, and then next
this week.
Next week is Christmas.
week is,
And then next week's Christmas, what,
Okay.
see, I'm not.
all right,
And then the
Are
week
you
after
kidding
that's
me?
New Year's.
And the week after that's Orthodox
We have
Christmas.
Christmas and my son's
We're really
birthday
pushing
all at
this
the same
out.
time, so that's it.
all right.
Well, thank
All
you,
right.
and I will talk with
Yeah.
you, Mike.
I
Thank
still have
you
a
again for
comment.
your help.
No, well, thank you for your
Thank you.
working with
Thank
I
us.
do have a comment about it, though.
Name and address.
Okay.
Sean McLaughlin, 175 Barry Paxton Road. About the fee for them, wouldn't it be possible to waive that fee, seeing it is a senior group? I
Yeah,
mean, I think,
the fee really is not applicable, Sean. It's not
Gotta
like
read
we're
this.
talking to soccer. It's not like we're talking to baseball. They're not. They weren't a formed group under recreation,
Right.
like a program.
but when they become a group under recreation,
There's the,
recreation could charge them a fee to use the.
no
Senior discount.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying.
recreation fees will be program fees. Do you see the difference? We charge building use fees to separate from the town nonprofits.
Right.
And if you're private, you don't get to use the building. That's where she got stuck. You can't just walk in and say, I want to have a birthday party. I know I keep going back to that example, but it's the clearest.
Or if you started like a darts club,
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Oh, that would go over really well. Darn.
So I think it's the same. I think it's the similar. We're trying to get there.
We're going to get
Right, I know, I was just,
The-
when she was
Yeah.
concerned about the fees as well, I was like, that, there should be no reason that they can't be
We'll
waived.
come up with something that
We should be able
works.
to circle back.
We'll
Also-
make it work.
Let's get through
It'll work.
Thursday.
Also, one of us is going to win the lottery tomorrow, and we'll just build something for you.
All right.
Okay.
Would love to move on.
But I think that this circles back to just, I mean, something we have had on our goals and objectives for a while. Also, just that building use in town is at a premium for town-associated boards, committees, organizations, whatever.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Right.
Tamika, you sure you still want this job?
Moving parts.
Really? All right. Is there anyone else here for public comment? No? All right, we're moving on. Under old business, marijuana RFI update 064. You have your nice big packet.
In your binder, there are two marijuana-related RFIs that the group has put together for review. They one is for adult use marijuana retail, which we have talked about. And then the group and I, last time we met, based off of the questions we got at the public information session, where people were asking, well, what do we do if we wanted to do cultivation? What do we want to do if we want to do the other approved licensed marijuana establishments? We went ahead and we drafted a draft of what that RFI would look like, because in reality, it's the same information that we'd be looking for. It's
Right.
the same, they're identical to each other. It's just they're split in the zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw says we're allowed 20% of our liquor licenses for adult use retailers, which is 1. And then we can have up to 5 licensed marijuana establishments on top of the 1 adult use retailer. So we could have up to 6 cannabis-related companies,
Which
in
could be
the
like
town.
distribution, growing.
Yeah, and if you see on page 4 of the licensed marijuana established draft, it's craft marijuana cooperatives, marijuana cultivation, marijuana product manufacturing, independent testing laboratory, micro businesses, and marijuana transporter.
It's a micro business.
I don't, micro business and transporter, I'm actually looking for clarification on to see what those are. The
Okay.
transporter, I think it's what their, their delivery service.
Yeah.
But again, this is all stuff we'd be looking for, the same information that we'd be looking for here. So we put them both together for the board to look at. There are sample motions there. Basically, we'd be looking for a motion to release, advertise for 30 days, open again next month. We give them a couple extra days to the 16th of January. Just because we gave an extra couple days, 16 to 16, easy to remember, plus the holidays are in there. We also, the 17th, anyway. We also went a little further than most RFIs and RFPs, and we built the rubric right into the RFI. That way people can see exactly what each
What they're responding to.
item would be graded on and how it would be scored. And in the beginning of both of them as well, is a explanation as to what those notations actually mean. So for each criterion that receives a highly advantageous designation shall be given a 10 points, advantageous 7, not advantageous 5, and unacceptable 1. That again comes straight out of the state procurement laws. Not advantageous isn't bad, it's synonymous to neutral. It's not detrimental, so it's not considered unacceptable.
Doesn't add points though.
It's just, we can live with this, but it's not the best situation. So that's, when you see not advantageous, it doesn't mean bad, it just means it's good, it's there, type thing. And then if you look for the ones that are based off of the feedback that we received, because the parts that are listed highly advantageous, and so on from there, those are the parts that will read redacted blind. Because the information session said that we would like to see those as more importance, the parts that we read where we actually sit through and compare proposal to proposal are half of those points. So the highest you can get on the part where you actually see whose the business is it's 5, 3, and 1, based off of superior to other submissions, comparable to other submissions, and inferior to other submissions. So again, the part where we grade blind is actually worth more than the part where we grade open. And again, that's all built into the actual document. It's not something that's required, it's something that we can do. So we're doing it just for transparency's sake, so everyone's on the same page as to what we're grading on there. Then if you turn to the appendices in the back, the documents that are referenced throughout the RFI are actually included here. We included some of the, so for instance, the RFI requires I gotta flip to the right one, a certificate of good standing, which is a town bylaw that says we can't release a license or anything like that unless they're up to date on all of their Rutland taxes and fees. So that's the first one. So that's actually just in here. So once you pick this up, you have aside from the part that we need from them, everything that they're required to pick up from us is in this packet, so they can just fill it out and submit that to us there. Certificate of good standing, the authorization to submit, so to make sure that the person who's submitting it is actually authorized from their company to submit it. That's required by state law. I guess when the 30B laws were being written in the late 80s, there was issues of people submitting applications for their, this was really more prevalent out by Boston, but they made it a statewide law, submitting applications on behalf of their companies because they wanted to work closer to home, and then their companies being like, sorry, we can't honor that, but it was already awarded. So this is just saying that they're actually authorized to submit a certificate of non-collusion, which is required, again, by state statute, a certificate of tax compliance for state taxes, that again is also required by state statute, and then the letter of commitment that the working group of department heads added to the list there.
Okay.
Following that is a draft of what a host community agreement would look like
Bless you.
with the town, based off of other, we collected 5 different host community agreements from other communities and took the form that looked most consistent between those 5. Now, this is not, you can't take this and just plop in a company name and expect that to be what's there, because this is based off a negotiation after the RFI is awarded. So we
It's
really,
a starting point.
it's a starting point, but just so they could see what we're working towards in the end, we put a draft of what that host community agreement would look like. And it says that right at the top above it too. It says this is not what a document is. The document we based off of negotiations between the working group and whoever the winning proposer is, based off of the vote of a board to award that proposal, and then another vote of the board to approve the negotiations and the host community agreement terms that are in there, just like we did with any other lease that we did with RLLB and we're currently doing with RYS. So that's why there's a draft of what that would look like in there. And then, so it's clear for everyone who's interested, in reading what's referenced in the RFI, there's a copy of the marijuana zoning bylaw. That way, everything's in here that if you're looking for any information as to what's referenced in this document, it's all in this document with it. Any questions?
It's very thorough.
Wow.
So the team that's going to be reviewing this, have you selected that team already?
Yeah, it'll be, and that's actually listed in here too, so that the public, or those who pick it up, will be able to see that. It will be myself, the town planner community development coordinator, police chief, fire chief, director of public works, director of public health, and the town accountant.
Okay, great.
When this gets released,
Mhm.
the documents that you've attached, the appendices,
Mhm.
will they be in PDF form with the ability to fill in the blanks? Or does the applicant need to do a hard paper copy?
The state statute prefers hard paper copy.
It's a wet signature requirement.
It's a
Yeah.
wet signature requirement for receipt of it.
Okay.
So when someone comes to pick this up, and actually you'll see in the draft motions that I provided for you as well, 30B allows the chief procurement officer, who you have voted to make me, to appoint assistant procurement officers for the purpose of distributing procurement materials, of which this is. So I would appoint Laura and Dave, just because they're also in the annex, that if someone wants to pick up a copy, they're the ones who are authorized to give that person a copy of the RFI, but also there's a clipboard that says, I certify under the pains and penalty of perjury that I have received the RFI, and it specifies which one of the two it is, that I have reviewed the document, and to the best of my knowledge, because they're picking it up from us, so we would have to check too, it is complete and a true and accurate copy of the RFI. They sign that they've received it, and then one of the 3 of us signs that we gave it to them. That way we have that record of who received it, because they also need to give us some form of contact information that if we add another appendix onto it, we then are by law required to send to everyone who's picked it up.
Yes.
So we have to have a record of who's picked it up, so because of that, they have to come pick it up in person and sign for it.
Is that record public?
The record itself is. Anything that we have received in response to this is not made public until after the award is made.
Would that record of who comes in to take it, would that be made public after the evaluation process, or is that public
No, that's
before that begins?
the moment that the RFI released, that's a public document. As is the moment the RFI is released, the other document that's made public is a receipt register on our end of those who turn in. We have to have that they have so-and-so sign that they've turned it in, what day and time they've turned it in, and then one of us will have to initial that we've received it. That register is a public document from the moment the RFI is released. And then we'll have to re-certify it at the moment of the RFI opening.
Okay.
Or not RFI opening, the RFI certification, because we can't open it in public because they're not public documents until the award.
Okay.
We had a long conversation, I think, at the last meeting when we talked about this in regards to page, well, it's 11 for the adult use packet, which is the comparative. Is everybody happy? It's looking to me exactly like the way we had all talked. I just want to make sure everybody's, it actually starts at the, oops, sorry, I'm just right on you. Starts at the bottom of page 10.
Some of this came from Cannabis Control Commission too, right?
Yep.
Like prior cannabis experience, which still blows my mind.
Yeah. But again, that's why, again, where this is one where we compare proposal to proposal, it's not worth as much as the blind read-through.
Inducements made it in, huh?
Oh, it did? Shoot, I missed one. Inducements were supposed to be changed to benefits, so we can change financial commitments to benefits. As you can see in the last bullet point, non-monetary benefits.
Yep.
And then relative to the possibility of us releasing both, i.e. the second one, the licensed marijuana establishment, with that one difference being page 4 with the establishments allowed, and Mike's question about micro-business. Mike, I have to say, I thought initially when I saw that it was that soup to nuts, I can grow it and I can sell it, but it's actually not. It's I can grow it and I can produce a product which would then be sold elsewhere at a retail establishment. Micro-business. I just, yeah.
Oh, you look, yeah.
I did.
Those are all defined per the CCC, which is, if you go to page 1, additional information on state licensor and licensure process can be found at masscannabiscontrol.com.
Okay.
This was a lot of work.
Thank you.
All right. If anybody has questions, this is the time. Does the public have any questions? Yes, name and address.
Sean Moore, 3 Edson Avenue. When will this be ready for pickup? Tomorrow morning?
When authorized by the board.
So we have motions in front of us to consider now. No?
I have tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock as the spot for it to open. Basically what that means is I come a little before 8. There's a part in here that says insert date. We'll insert the date there and we'll change that inducements to benefits, and that's really all we need.
All right.
Legal's gone through everything. I mean,
Yep.
I know you've been working with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And the board that's set up to judge the criteria, how are they picked?
They had things that were related to what we were looking for in the response criteria. So the health director had parts of the trash pickup plan fell under him, but parts of it also fell under Chief Monaco. The traffic evaluation impacted public safety, so that's the 2 chiefs there, but it's also Joe's crew at some points. So the bullet point list that we released a couple of weeks ago from that group, it was based off who from that list that KP provided us had things that on that list that related to their department. Yeah.
And that bullet point list that you released prior, it's basically what you're.
Yep.
That's what they're, so.
Yeah. What this does is it takes that bulletproof list, let me just turn to a page that's here, and it breaks it down to how each bullet is graded.
Okay.
Yep.
If there are no more questions, the board's ready. I would entertain a motion and we'll take these individually?
It'll be these get posted. We have to have an advertisement for them in a local newspaper, and basically all it will say is a one paragraph. The town of Rutland is seeking requests for information on marijuana use and stuff like that. Each of these documents will have to be posted in the annex, not for receipt, but for view. And basically what it is if we receive any responses from someone who's not on our register of people who pick them up, we are not allowed to accept it.
Okay. Quick question before we commence. So I want to make sure that what we're doing, I know a lot of communities are doing it, but we also receive a lot of state funding that has federal ties. Has anyone provided any clarification on whether any of these measures will impact federally sourced funding into the town?
No, and I checked that specifically because of the...
No, there has been clarification, or no, it will not?
No, it will not impact. We have clarified because of the laboratory approval in the zoning bylaw for the Heights property that received a federal grant originally when we first took it over. And when I checked on that to see if that would impact anything because there was federal money involved in that property, they said no.
What if the locations we get, insofar as proposed locations, have federal funding in them? Can we put this establishment on that location?
Of the spots where it would be allowed, I don't know where we
I'm
would
just-
have federal money.
What kind of federal funding, like brownfield?
Anything whatsoever, because this is federally illegal. I mean, even if you have a storefront that has a sidewalk or a road improvement that's made using federal funding, even if the funding comes from state, it might have federal origins, like with the way state deals with HUD funding.
Well, but wait, you're saying a sidewalk owned by the town relative to the private property where the business is? Are you putting the two together?
Right. I mean, like anything that would impact the potential of losing funding for where we locate this. I don't think the state's really provided a lot of clarity on these issues, and I mean, this could change tomorrow.
I think, based on the example you just gave.
Well, let's not use that example. Let's just.
No, I'm going to take it to the next level, which is if we're doing this at all, no matter where it is, whether there's federal funding or not, if we have continued concerns about the federal position on retail marijuana, I'm not sure that funding is our only issue. It would be every issue. Do you know what I mean? We either do this or not. With the full knowledge of where the federal government stands today, which is essentially what every state has done, has taken, I suppose, has taken a step towards a acknowledgement of a state's rights on it. But I don't know how else we would look at it. I don't know that federal funding is the only thing. At that point, we've opened a barn door.
Well, no,
everything.
I'm concerned about, because we use federal funding for quite a bit of infrastructure, and it benefits quite a bit of folks. My concern would be the funding piece. I'm not worried about us being stormed by Jeff in his office and locked up. That was a joke, Jeff. We're not revolutionaries here. We're, elected municipal officials. But my concern is that, if for whatever reason a move is made to cut off block grant funding or funding that we use to help other constituents, other portions of the population that quite frankly really need it, that this could impact that. That's my only question.
So you clarified it through the Heights because there is
How do you get that?
Historic data on a federal grant.
How do you get that answer?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the feds are going to say, look, it's
They're going to
illegal.
say no and then turn around tomorrow and change their mind.
So, I mean, it couldn't go to the this could not be located, I would assume, in the Heights or any other parcels that may have had.
Well, and I also think we'd have multiple issues because, and again, these examples are so specific, but the Heights is owned by the municipality as opposed to private ownership. So is that another level? It had federal funding attached to it at some point, as do some of our school properties. Obviously, within the RFI, we've got restrictions on how close things can be to the school properties to begin with, which by definition will prohibit some of the Heights from being
Right.
used no matter what.
Yeah.
I think we could probably go around and around on this.
If you go start in the back, because this is the page numbering for the zoning bylaw on page 99, if you start from the back. it lists the exact spots where each type of business could be located.
Yes, the
That's in the
zoning.
bylaw, though.
Yeah.
Right.
That's,
Right,
Yeah, but I'm
but-
saying
it's a
that
different question.
you can kind of guess the areas.
Yeah,
Yeah, because there are only so many areas of that
Right.
zoning.
Exactly.
Right.
but I think what Mitch would head towards is if you look at, for example, Town Center 2,
Mhm.
and it has a proximity to town-owned municipal property,
Mhm.
and we're looking for a federal grant for X,
Right.
that's where you're.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that way you can kind of
Yeah.
see where each thing is allowed.
So your concern is you put future federal backed funding at risk?
Well, I mean, even, well, we
We're
don't
not gonna
have,
go back, it's just future stuff, correct?
well, it depends on the funding source and what the provisions are. Like a brownfield has all sorts of provisions on that deed, things we can and can't do, and there's clawback provisions built into that. So absolutely, it's both. But I mean, realistically, yeah, the future funding is what I'm more concerned about, because I would hope that as a board, we're not unintelligent enough to put something on a piece of land that has federal ties to it.
It makes, yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder where the first communities, say in Colorado, here, really took that as a risk and said, well, you know, they looked at it and said, there are questions that we might have that are unanswerable right now. I don't know. I apologize. Did you, what have you have?
Same Sean Ward 3, I haven't moved anywhere. But what about federal prosecution? Does the state back up if the feds come in and say, we want to arrest these businesses? Or, I mean, as part of you guys, you could do all kind of scenarios. You being an accomplice to a crime, federal crime.
Well, I mean, it's also, that brings up a good point in the sense where a lot of our police and fire funding comes from different sources too. And if they're not enforcing like laws that they have to be enforcing as part of whatever agreement that they have, I mean, does that put that funding at risk as well? I mean, I know a lot of communities are doing this and we haven't had any issues yet, but
Yeah. I think it's one of those where we just
Jeff, could you weigh in on
don't
that
know.
at all?
I'm
Just-
recused, I've recused for the whole thing, it's killing me.
He's not even
yeah,
supposed to be
Jeff,
here.
Yeah,
Jeff can't because of his employer. but-
Yeah.
It's just
I'm
something we
recused.
don't know yet because it's kind of something that's still a growing animal. It's still young. It's still new. Not much has happened really with it yet.
But Jeff, if you did have insight, you could provide it as a private citizen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The
I mean, there are legitimate concerns with,
If he has anything to say, Matt, please have him not stand and sit at that. If he's gonna speak on the matter, to have him approach like a private citizen, if I may.
duly noted. Yeah. I mean, there's concerns with the pistol permits, right? The issuing of a license that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's just one of those where it's the reason why none of these businesses can have credit cards
Right.
used at them.
Or
It has to be-
traditional. I have no idea how the traditional banking works.
It's
with the business, but-
there's only certain credit unions that are financing these. GFA is one of them. I think GFA was the first one in Massachusetts. It has to be a cash-only business for any of these. That's why there has to be a strict security plan in place, and that's why they have to submit one, because they can't use a credit card or a check at it because it's not federally insured.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Just making sure we thought it through. Just want to bring that up. You know.
Are we ready now? For something. I'm gonna note two things on the motions. You need to, whoever's gonna read them needs to change two things. The date, it's Tuesday, December 17th, not the 16th. Today is the 16th. And it's it's a release of request, for interest,
Yes.
correct? Not
Correct.
information.
Yeah.
So those are your two changes on the motions, if someone is ready.
I have a question before, if I may, please, because I heard something that was said about the inducements, or was supposed to be changed to benefits. Is that going to be
Put that,
changed
we'll
on?
put that in the motion.
Okay.
Yeah, with the proposed amendments.
All right, I move to release the request for interest for adult use marijuana retailers for the town of Rutland as of 8 a.m. on Tuesday, December 17th, 2019, with a return deadline of no later than 12 p.m. on Thursday, January 16th.
17th.
No, that's right, January.
16th.
Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry.
And further, to allow the town administrator to appoint Mrs. Laura Paradise and Mr. David George as Assistant Chief Procurement Officers under the provisions of Chapter 30B of the general laws for the purpose of assisting in the distribution of the RFI to potential applicants,
Including all amendments.
including amendments.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, we'll do roll call.
Waitman, aye.
Walker, aye.
City, I.
Dib aye.
Stillings abstain.
Thank you. All right. Next. Same.
I move to release the request for interest for licensed marijuana establishments, excluding adult use retail, for the town of Rutland as of 8 a.m. on Tuesday, December 17th, 2019, with a return deadline of no later than 12 p.m. on Thursday, January 16th, and further to allow the town administrator to appoint Mrs. Laura Paradise and Mr. David George as Assistant Chief Procurement Officers under the provisions of Chapter 30B of the general laws for the purpose of assisting in the distribution of the RFI to potential applicants,
With all included amendments.
with all amendments.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, roll call.
Waitman, aye.
Walker, aye.
City, I.
Dib aye.
Stillings abstain.
Okay. Is there anything else relative to marijuana?
Just that with those and with what 30B says, because we're following the 30B process, so the residents who are watching are aware, because that deadline closes at noon that day, we will have to lock the door to the annex from noon to 12:30 to make sure, because once 12 o'clock plus 30 seconds or plus 1 second hits, we can't accept anything after that. So we have to.
Why don't you just timestamp them
We will.
when they come in?
No, we will. It's how the old-fashioned Inspector General's office.
All right, we'll lock all the doors.
We also have to specify which clock that'll go off of. So when you receive receipt, you'll get interested parties will receive a cover sheet that says 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock here. And we'll go from that. They'll reopen again at 12:30 after the register is made.
Yeah.
I suppose our motion didn't say Eastern Standard Time. Was that assumed?
That'll go on but legally is assumed for here, but that will also go on the information sheet that gets received when you pick it up.
Make it interesting. Set it some other time.
Could everyone hand in their copies of these to Mike, if you don't mind?
So that the
Two
edits can be made.
each.
I made,
You're fine.
You drew, yeah, that's right.
well, I made notes inside of them to myself too.
Doesn't matter.
I know.
If somebody would like the motion language, that is public. Otherwise, those packets are public tomorrow.
It's another tree.
Yeah, I
Yep.
know.
That's why we need a farm.
And we are
Farming trees.
moving on. Very quick, under 078, Town Administrator Review, Goals and Objectives Discussion, I did send an email out to everybody again today. Could you just give me like a quick, yes, I got it?
I saw it.
Yeah, I got it. I got
Got it.
homework
Got
assigned.
I actually did have a couple questions if we.
Okay.
Okay. Because I know that you mentioned we could talk about it tonight for questions.
Yes, questions about the process.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Because I emailed you last week, and I'm assuming you respond today about just, you must have, on
I didn't see
middle of last week. I was just assuming it was going to be tonight because I thought we originally had talked
No,
about
I
it.
literally didn't hear from anybody. I apologize.
Oh, no, not a problem. And I didn't see it on the agenda, so I figured we'd talk about it tonight. But, so, in the email you had sent, I just want clarification on the process because I went back and watched the meeting. We talked about this a little bit.
Yep.
And the goals we're selecting as a board, I want to make sure we're on the same page. Are we selecting from the list you provided, which is compiled of what we set in May or June? I don't remember when that meeting was. Or I thought in the discussion we had at the meeting, it was either 1 or 2 meetings ago, we had talked about setting more generalized goals because some of those to-do list items were very specific in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And priorities of each one of us, I think individually, And so we talked about like maybe setting goals like financial management or communications, like something more generic that we could in unison maybe pick 5 or 6 and agree on. Is that what everyone else understood?
If I may, I was taking it as kind of having our BOS goals and objectives that we set back in the spring as a basis for kind of lumping some of those together, similar to just what you said, like financial management or grant applications or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Kind of not a specific goal or
Exactly.
anything, but kind of encompassing what
Objectives.
objectives that we could use as a board to help us get to our.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think it was helpful to have Mike's document attached as well, because to your point, both of you, we've got the goals as sort of a large umbrella headline.
Yeah.
And then we'll have those action items, things that, you know,
We
here's
can
how
talk
he
about.
addressed financial management, here's how he addressed, yeah.
So you're looking for then the larger
level. I really
high
am,
level
yeah.
goals. Okay.
So for example, if not anyone got back to me with financial management, we wouldn't be discussing it as one of his goals.
No, before I responded, I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that I knew what we were responding to.
Okay, great.
Didn't send something totally off topic. And then about the process itself for the town, the evaluation form, which is very thorough. It provides a lot of us an opportunity to provide input. I think what has been past precedent, is my understanding, is that we fill those out, and then we get a chance during the public hearing to read our individual comments on those forms, if we so choose. Like, so if obviously it's an area you don't have a concern about, you're not going to read it. But if you have an area that you want to delve into, that'll be something. But in the email, you essentially, I just want to make sure that I understand what we're doing. So we're providing you with those evaluation forms. Those then become part of the public hearing process, and everything gets sent to Mike, so he has a chance to respond. The final document, based on what Mike had sent, which I understand was approved by the board when Margaret was here, she kind of set up this process, is that with that evaluation document, we all send a cover letter kind of summarizing what our review was. You then collect both our evaluation forms and our cover letters, compile your own cover letter taking bits and pieces of all of our evaluations. And then that becomes the official packet of evaluative information.
I never read the process as each board member needing to draft a cover letter. However, I think that's fine. I could go either way.
But so,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that what you're putting together is a final document.
Is
You're
the
drafting
cover
a cover
letter-
letter,
Yep.
and then behind that cover letter, it's
Is
going to
everything that
include
everybody-
all of our individual evaluations.
Yes,
So all of our scoring and our
Yes.
commentary will be,
yes.
okay, I just want to clarify that.
So in the end, I'll get 6 items, 5 evaluations, and then the cover letter. I write a response to that, and then those 7 documents go into my personnel file.
Great. And then we have, I would assume, a board aggregate of the scoring. We'll just take everything and average it, and then that's what's used as the final.
Yes. Yes.
Got it.
So the compilation is direct. There's no editorial changing of it. It's a compilation of very direct statements.
Great. And then it's going to be a lengthy document because all of our stuff will be behind it. And I didn't mean to add work for anyone when I brought the cover letter up, but that's what I took from reading this. So I just want to make sure that we're providing you everything that we need to do.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
So we're all
Perfect.
good? Everybody got it?
Great. Yeah. I penned 5 objectives. Is it something, I thought we was turning them into you.
I would love that, yes.
Yeah.
Sooner the better. Okay.
Great.
Thank you. Select contracts.
You have a list in your
Still want this
packets.
job? Okay.
You have a list in your packets
You
here.
didn't answer quite as fast as you did last time.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
There are the last 2 documents to turn on Glenwood came in, and then all 4 of the documents to turn on Naquag have come in. So we're looking for board signature. Those 6 documents. I will need to notarize 4 of them.
So we need motions to sign
All 6.
all 6. Okay. So individual, or can I lump like Naquag's together and then Glenwood's together? Is there a preference?
That's up to.
Well, let's do,
What makes you happy?
lump
I'll
them?
do it individually. That way, just if there's any,
If we could just do it by school, I think that would be good, because these host consent of Naquag it actually is combined together with
okay,
everything that's needed for Naquag.
okay,
Yeah, it's 3
Yeah.
original copies.
okay. So I'll make a motion that we sign, that the board sign the documents for the solar panels to be turned on, with Select for Naquag School. It includes the power purchase agreement, First Amendment to the power purchase agreement, notice of license, and First Amendment to license.
Second.
And Mike, can I just clarify? I'm just looking at this document. It looks like there's just one signature.
Yeah, it's about 1 in each document.
Did we authorize the
Authorize
TA
the,
to sign?
or the,
No, that's the chair of the board. Oh, so now I see what you're saying. No, those have to be signed by a elected member, so that would be the chair of the selectmen.
With authorization for the chair to do the signing.
is there a second? You had a second.
I second.
Thank you.
Sure.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
I'll make a motion that the select contracts with the town for Glenwood School for solar panels be signed by the chair for this document includes First Amendment to license and notice of license.
Second.
Again, that the board is authorizing.
It's by
Authorizing the chair to sign.
Authorizing the chair to sign.
I have a second. Is there any more discussion? This is for the 3 copies? No? All in
Yep.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
CTMS doesn't have solars?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet.
In the process.
Is there a timeline for when they'll get turned on?
That depends on National Grid.
Could that impact the bubble links?
Mitch, were
No.
you a vote?
It
Did
is a
you,
reflection.
I'm sorry, to sign?
did you vote to sign? I just didn't
Yes,
hear it.
yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, it shouldn't. Let's hope.
Okay.
Moving
Well,
on.
if they're flying
Yeah.
over and there's a reflection.
School committee, you have the letter of interest in your packets. From Mr. Jeff Haynes, who was at the last meeting.
In the snowstorm.
Yes.
In the snowstorm, yeah.
Yep.
So motion to, are we ready for a motion?
We are ready.
Do we want to have a discussion? Motion to appoint Mr. Jeff Haynes to the school committee vacancy.
Second.
Do we need to include term ending? I don't have that information in front of me though, so that's was my
It was on the
hesitation.
last agenda, right, Mike? It was term ending
2020
Oh,
or
so we did get
2021?
clarification on this. I was actually trying to find the email on it. The term itself does end in 2021, but the way that the bylaws are written,
He's
he's
gonna run.
he's got to run in May for a year,
Ugh.
and then run again in
Okay.
May 2020.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's-
Because we can only appoint until the next election,
Yeah.
and then the next election fills out the term.
Fair enough.
We appoint till the election in May, and then the term's for a year.
All right.
Oh,
Alright,
it's
then.
democracy. Is he, have you communicated that to him?
Yes.
Okay, so he's still fine
Yep.
with that? Great. All right,
So
so
it's term
motion,
ending May 2020, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
2021,
2021.
but he's gonna have to run in
Right.
May or he can't serve out the rest of the term.
Right, but we're appointing him through May of 2020 is what,
May of 20
May
till the
2020.
town election.
Right,
Correct,
so
yeah.
6 months
Yeah,
from now,
yeah.
right, 5 months.
that's what our appointment is, yeah.
Okay, so motion to, I'll restate, motion to appoint Jeff Haynes to the school committee with a term ending in 2021.
Second.
No, wait.
To the vacant
The
position on the
vacancy.
To
school.
the vacancy,
Right, okay.
right.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have a full complement on the school committee. First time since May. That's fantastic.
Great.
Onward to new business, license renewals.
You have the common vicular licenses and the liquor license renewal spreadsheet in front of you. We do have 3 common vic licenses that are currently have outstanding status with the Treasurer Collector's Office, and you have a record of those outstanding balances as well. One, it looks like they just missed a bill because they paid the bill before and after. You also have a list of who has received their inspections for fire, building, and health. Or excuse me, just building and health for these.
I mean, some of these outstanding balances, they're not nothing.
Are these, I know in the past, are these outstanding balances on, excuse me, any sort of payment plan or communication with Becky as far as?
No.
Okay.
In fact, these liens, if you see the water sewer liens,
Yep.
were just placed last week. That's why they're written in pen at the bottom.
Okay.
So, Mike, just to clarify for tonight, we have
Mhm.
our list in front of us, we have some background information.
Mhm.
The licenses that were in the green folder tonight were actually the
Those were the ones that were
Class
approved
3,
last week, and they just
right.
need signature.
So tonight, we're not actually approving these, awarding these licenses, but
What are we voting on?
No, that,
are we
yes.
voting on?
Voting on these?
No, those are what the board
No,
voted
we
on
already-
last week,
Oh,
but we
these
just
are the
didn't have the licenses to sign last week, so
So-
that's why those are in the folder.
So these licenses aren't ready to sign.
The printed versions aren't ready yet,
Okay.
but the vote to approve
Oh.
the printing of the licenses is what we need.
Because they expire.
At the end of the month.
At the end of, yeah.
And
Do-
anyone who doesn't, for any of the licenses, anyone who doesn't have approval by the board by the end of the month, we have to put a closed sign for the town on their door.
And they were communicated this, and they're not here tonight?
Correct.
And do they know they have outstanding?
Yes, Laura called them all. The one that has the smallest number
Yeah.
is fixing that tomorrow.
Well, the smallest number I'm not concerned about because it's a small number. The larger number I am concerned about because it is pretty substantial.
Those are two, this happens every year with those two.
We only talking about these three businesses?
So everyone on the sheet will need a vote tonight.
No, but I'm talking about the.
Only these
Outstanding
three have
businesses,
outstanding taxes right now.
Well, can we then, real quick, just vote to, was it renew?
Renew pending inspection.
Renew pending inspection, everything that is current, all the businesses that are current without outstanding liens?
If.
And then
I
we can
would-
just
I would-
talk about the outstanding if we wanted
We're
to.
not gonna pay it off unless we keep them in business.
So if you don't mind, I'd just like you to list them for the record.
Okay.
I would also add to that those that have submitted their application for renewal to the board's office, which you'll see like in this first column here is everyone we've received an application from.
Yeah. But there's still time for them to
Oh, well,
submit.
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, I would feel comfortable making a motion to approve the ones that are current for renewal, and then we could talk about the outstanding unless we felt we should have a different discussion.
So my only question is, we do have one more meeting on the 30th, right, before the end of the year. So for the ones that are current, but we haven't received an application in the office yet, should we hold those until the 30th, or should we approve them pending application and building inspection? Because I don't think if they haven't had an application received by the BOS office, then none of the other inspections have been triggered yet. Is that correct, Mike?
Correct. I will say that there's two corrections that I'm already seeing on this. Number 12 turned in their application today, and number 17 turned theirs in on Friday. So we have received applications from Honeydew number 3823, so that's the plaza, Still Four Corners. How do you pronounce that one?
Vasicon?
Vasicon, thank you. I never knew how to pronounce it. Cemetery Bar and Grill, Lads, Yang's, Rufus Putnam House, KP's, Heavy Evie's, Rutland Marketplace, and Baked are the ones we have received. And then on the liquor license side, we've received Lads, Cemetery Bar and Grill, Still Four Corners, Rufus Putnam House, Rutland Sportsman's Club, Colonial Package Store, Main Street Discount Liquors, Vasicon, and Rutland Marketplace.
So I guess to Mitch's question, Mitch, I would say over the years, I think we've maybe very gradually been trying to become more on point about these to make sure
Yeah.
everything. And it really, now it's just a question this year of how far you want to take that to the next level.
Well, I mean, if I may, is 6,400 significant?
I mean, if it happens every year, it's just,
Usually what happens is that they then get on a temporary payment plan with Becky once they.
I mean, we don't wanna push them out of town, right? I mean,
no. But why aren't they here? I mean, we're talking about renewing a license. They owe thousands of dollars to the town. They could at least show up and say they're gonna pay it.
Yeah. Well, Mike just said it seems to be an annual thing, right?
Yeah. Basically, what happens is
allowed to be
that
an annual thing.
is we did the call,
We've allowed it.
we mailed, we've called, we've sent emails. I'll just go in person to them tomorrow for any ones that's still outstanding then.
I mean,
Unless it's snowing,
they've been
in
here a
which case
good
it'll
long
go down.
time, I'm out.
We've asked Becky since the day she got here to tighten down on tax lien and et cetera. And one of the things that got changed, fairly aggressively was that licenses, or not so much licenses, but permits would not be released
Okay.
if money were owed.
What is she asking us? when she
Well,
was
she's just
recommending-
providing us with the information.
Yeah.
Her
She's-
take on things at some level is if you have a payment plan in place, she
Correct.
considers that current in some
Yeah.
fashion.
So she's also reaching out to these right now to try to set up a payment plan so that we can come back on December 30th.
So let's not
That's
vote
it.
on, we don't have to vote on it tonight, then we can
Pull
kick
the
it to the
three.
30th.
Yeah.
And by then, hopefully, we'll have a resolution.
Yeah.
So we can pull these three and
Yeah, I would,
secure the other ones?
I think that would be fine.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, so are you, so you're doing the list?
We'll just
And are
make a
you
motion to approve all of the current license holders pending receipt of application for renewal to the town. So that covers the folks that haven't yet, because we don't know if we're gonna receive it, but
Okay, all of the tax current
the tax current.
pending application. Okay,
So motion to approve renewal for all license holders that are tax current pending receipt of an application for renewal to the town offices
And no required inspections.
and all recorded inspections that are necessary.
And are you comfortable listing those? Sorry.
All, yes.
Thank you.
Bedrock, including Bedrock Golf Club, Dunkin' Donuts, Honeydew number 3823, Still Four Corners, Vasicon Inc., Center Tree Bar and Grill, Dunkin' Donuts, again, Lads, Yang's Kitchen, General Rufus Putnam House, Tula's House of Pizza, Heavy Evie's, Rutland Marketplace, and DBA Baked Bakery.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And same for liquor?
They're all current on liquor.
Okay, so motion to approve all liquor license holders for renewal pending all necessary inspections and receipt of renewal application by the town that are tax current, including Lads Restaurant, Bedrock Golf Club, Center Tree Bar and Grill, Still Four Corners, General Rufus Putnam House, Rutland Sportsman's Club, Colonial Package Store, Main Street Discount Liquors, Vasicon, and Rutland Marketplace.
Great. Do I have a second?
But I didn't know if I caught, in all required inspections.
Yep, you did.
Okay, then second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Okay. I'm gonna pass around.
And then, Mike, we'll hold those other three and try to reach out. You'll try to reach
Yeah.
out, and Becky or whoever. And
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm gonna pass around the class 1, 2, and 3 licenses that got approved at the last meeting for signature as we move on. I think we've had a partial, at least, conversation about the building use policies.
I asked for an agenda item.
Yeah.
Is this included in that section?
It was, and of course, she
Yeah.
spoke at public comment as well, so I don't know how much more we wanna do this tonight.
I had actually asked on the email I got, or email I forwarded regarding the Rutland Historical Society and the Festival of Trees.
Oh, did you not
Is
get the reply I sent?
No.
So the
Well, it doesn't mean I didn't get it. I didn't
Yeah.
read it.
I can happy to summarize that here. The request was for a waiver of the
Waiver of the
raffle
raffle
permit
fee.
fee.
Yeah.
That is actually a state license that we're just the pass through.
Oh.
So we collect the information and the check and then send both to this Commonwealth for
Fair
them
enough.
to deposit and
Okay.
go through. The state just wants to make sure that before they get it, everything's turned in, so they give us the work of hunting everything down before they
Okay.
get it. That's all.
Well, thank you. Was that relayed back to
Yes.
Sheila Jenkins?
Yep.
Okay. Because I was asking on their behalf.
No. Thank you.
Anything else tonight on building use? I think it's probably a constant, ongoing conversation
I mean, I
relative
think-
to the state of the buildings.
I said this during our conversation, I think just highlights the need for the town to have a serious look as to space and,
Well, there was also
Ongoing.
issues there too, though, of, you know, I and my friends can't just come into town hall in the middle of the night and have a party. I mean,
Right.
that's, you know,
Right.
we have liability on these buildings, and if something were to happen to any of those folks when they're in there, it's town. Town's responsible for that.
yeah.
So,
But it's not the only time we've heard concerns. It's the only time
Absolutely.
recently that we've heard concerns, but it's not the only time that we've heard concerns about.
If they don't like the Woods House, then we circle back, and then it's a different
Mm-hmm.
conversation, you know.
Yeah.
But
I was under the impression that most of them were out of town residents. That group.
I mean, I'd have to check to see who's even in the group. But again, the
Sarkeesian
premise
was-
for that was that all non-recreation related, or all non-recreation overseen evening events were discontinued for the winter. So it's not like just that one group, it was all.
It was everybody.
Everyone but recreation.
With their
events.
classes.
Yes.
Yep.
So both pitch groups that are run by the Council on Aging themselves through Nancy, and then this private pitch group and all other Council on Aging related activities were discontinued for the winter time. We couldn't, that department that chose to cancel those couldn't oversee another department, so that's why the recreation department's fitness classes are still going on in that building.
does the Council of Aging's pitch group, do they meet at night?
They meet at
They-
Fridays.
They meet Friday
Why don't they
nights,
just
but they've been
merge?
discontinued.
Friday doesn't work for that group. They want to go out on dates with their husbands.
Yeah, she said.
You know, a long time ago, this was a conversation about whether or not you try to generate a little bit of income to take care of the buildings and rent them out. We've really just never been in a situation where we had a building that was in a state that it could
would
be rented out.
Feasibly be rented.
So maybe for the future, that's somebody else's discussion to be had. But
But
that's
someone's
kind
gotta
of,
clean the restrooms, you know.
yeah.
Fair is fair.
Yeah, yeah, so that's kind of where we left it. There is no correspondence. Is there any other business to come before the board? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
Somebody wake up Mr. Buckley there in the back.
Second.
It's time to go home.
I was gonna say
I will second your motion.
all in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. We wish everyone in the community a very happy holidays in the next couple of weeks and
We'll see everybody before the
right before New Year's.
Merry Christmas, everyone.